Hey guys, welcome back to the late night tea session. Why did I have to name it so long? I don't know. I'm horrible with naming. I used to have a blog and then an Etsy store, and then now I have a different store and like all the things. My naming sense is odd. Anyway, I hope you have your beverage. I just have water because it is boiling hot but also very wet from the raining season here in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, I may be born here, but I just can't get used to the heat and the raining season. I don't know if anybody can, honestly. It's rough. How are you? Hope y'all doing good. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing well, thriving, loving. I've been having a lot of thoughts about relationship. More specifically, connections between humans. I always have a very interesting past with it. I always struggle a little bit here and there, but then there are some relationships that are like breathing to me, where I would connect with the person very quickly, and also just vibe for a very long time, and we just never grow apart, and things just go better, and perhaps if things are meant to be, they're meant to be. Could be, but I also think that there's a good amount of hidden subconscious thinking or doing involved in this. Because I can't imagine just pure faith or just a coincidence that people are bound to have very long relationships with each other or have short relationships with each other. I think there has to be something underlying going there, but I don't know. When I was growing up, there wasn't anybody who I would consider super close. I had a childhood friend, who she really, thought a lot of me. However, I remember growing up wanting to return that emotions, but could not for some reason. I follow her Facebook, but we're not very close. We cut off contact when I moved houses, so it happens. And then I met my best friend in high school, 11th grade. So I met her, and then we were basically in the same class. So we hung out. I helped her through some issues. She unknowingly helped me through some of my issues as well. And we just kind of vibe. A year before, and then I had to go to the US to study. And we kind of cut contact for a while. I honestly, at the time, I didn't know why. There was a lot going on with my head and my living situation, and there was a lot going on with her as well. And I think we didn't talk for like 2 years. And then we talked again, and then didn't talk, and then somehow we have calls at like 3 a.m. for me. It was very strange, and then we got very close again when I came back when I came back from the U.S. That was like 3 years ago, and then she was going through a breakup, and she got together with somebody else, and I was dating somebody, and she was feeling very uncomfortable with that person, so we didn't talk at all. And for some reason I also didn't talk a lot with her, but now we're as thick as thieves again. And it just basically what happens in our relationship was that we keep colliding and then separating. And the funny thing is, I never even consider the possibility that she would never be in my life. That is, to me, a very interesting thought, because I don't know why I didn't think that. Like, because if you don't talk to a person for 2 years, you just kind of assume that you're not friends anymore, that you grew apart or whatever. But the thought of us never being friends, or that she hates me for some reason, has never crossed my mind. And that's where I think there's something subconscious going on, where something that she did, something that I perceived, has helped solidify who she is to me in my head. And that insurance, that belief really helps me through. Even though we weren't talking, even though we were fighting, there was a lot of fights about like relationships and who we choose to our lives, and differences in our thinking. I have never truly considered, I don't think she ever think this too, that we will never be friends again, that we will just never talk again. We just kind of pick up where we left off. And there's a couple more friends since then. There's been a couple more friends who I have thought of this way as well. We'll see how that goes. So far, one of them is like a year long, the other one is like almost 2 years long. And the same thing happens. We kind of collides and then collides and separates. Some text more than others, because of just the way that they communicate. Speaking of communications, when I was growing up, technology was new. So I was born in 99. So maybe in America, or in like the grand scheme of like the world, technology was already a big thing, but I didn't grow up with a lot of technology. I think I was still using one of those like small like brick phones, and I didn't have a computer. We had a family computer when I was in like, I don't know, fifth grade, so like the end of primary school. And then I didn't have my own laptop until like long after. I truly didn't use a lot of technology until I got to America. When I first got to America, I still didn't use a lot of technology, and I'm not used to keeping contact with people who are afar from me. Basically, my circle contains people who are around me. Everybody else, I find it hard to keep a very long distance relationship, not just romantically, but also just like relationship wise. When I got into my second relationship, that person started to text daily. That was the first time I ever experienced that. And then I just started copying them. And I dated them for like 4 years, and that has never stopped. We've never not text. We text daily. Even if it's like 1 sentence, 2 sentences, whatever. We always text daily, and we call very often because we were in like a long distance relationship for 4 years. That was all we had basically. And ever since then, I've always associated romantic relationship with daily texting as a way to connect, and as a way to have a strong connections. That is truly. Since then, since we broke up, I've dated a couple more people. I also text a lot. I think I just tend to want to share with people. I tend to want to talk to the people that I enjoy, and have very strong emotions for, and I just want to know their life. I just want to have the feeling of being in their life, I think. And plus, I like them, so they make me happy, you know. But recent years, I've been thinking, like, is daily texting, is daily communication needed to have a strong relationship? Because as I've said, my friendships are not like that. I have phases where I text my friends a lot, and I have phases where we just don't talk, or just we talk 1 sentence, 2 sentences. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And people get very varying, and I think it's like a person base. And I never know how to say this to my partners. I never know how to truly communicate about this, because everybody's living their life the first time as well. It's just the reality. A lot of people are upset about things they don't even understand. A lot of people like something ideally but not realistically, stuff like that. So honestly, I've had a problem with that. I just find it, I don't know. I want to, I think I like the daily texting because it feels needed. Like it feels like, oh, you're in a dating relationship, tick, daily texting and frequent calls and weekly dates and stuff like that. Just being around the person you're dating a lot. Surrounded by their information, apparently, is what I associate with having a very healthy relationship when dating. I've had some adults say that that is very unrealistic, and honestly, I find it quite unrealistic too. I don't have the energy to keep up. I'm a very introvert person, and I have a lot of things going on in my head. So the thought of like texting daily, I just don't know what to text. Or if I say everything in my head, the person's gonna think I'm crazy. I don't think saying everything in your head is very healthy in a way. It's too much for both the person saying it and the person listening. But I also don't know what else would be a strong relationship, you know? So like, I feel like I'm overthinking this. But again, dating somebody must be different from friendship. But if I'm having strong friendship and I just have, then do I just wait for the dating partner who I will just have a good relationship? Like I don't have to work, I don't have to think. It just flows naturally, I guess, and do things that make sense. Honestly, I find it weird to not try to do my best in a dating relationship. I've always been taught to do your best and please your man, honestly, quite frankly. I'm Vietnamese and I have a very traditional family with very old parents. So quite frankly, I was raised with ideology like, oh, how to be a good wife and how to be a good bride and how to please your husband and how to please your mother-in-law and stuff like that. So genuinely, I've always been doing a lot to gain the love of my partners, and I think that I consider that is the norm, the way to have a relationship. And if I don't do anything and if I just go with the vibe, then things will inevitably not work out. And genuinely, so far, it's been a self-fulfilling prophecy. The a serious relationship after the 4-year one, where I basically become his wife by the time we graduated, was that like I was more chill, and then I overthink, and then I was like, oh, do I have to try more? And the more I try, the more it wrecks the relationship, and the more the guy loses his emotions, and somehow I'm doubting myself, and I'm blaming myself. Oh, it's me that, oh, now that you know me for real, you think I'm unattractive, and it's all me, and I internalize it a lot. There's a lot of overthinking involved. And I just don't know what builds a good relationship in terms of dating. For better or for worse, I don't have a lot of good examples around me. If there are good examples, I don't know the details of it. And honestly, even if I do, it might not work for me because, again, everybody's different and every relationship is different. So I can't just carbon copy somebody else's relationship and call it mine and just like waltz in with find a guy who fits the criteria and like just waltz into that relationship. That's what happens. I waltz into 2 relationships hoping for the best and just and it fails fantastically. Sometimes I think I overthink, and then other times I think I'm not thinking enough, where I'm being careless. Part of me wish I would have a better balance, but I think being balanced all the time is a very unhuman thing to have. Even our facial structures and our body structures are not even, and they're unbalanced. So expecting human ideal state and natural state to be balanced is pretty unrealistic if I think hard about it. But I have a lot of irrational fears, so that's not helping at all. Just knowing logic thinking isn't helping enough. I don't know. I ask a lot of questions. Like I go around to like my coworkers and like my friends, and I ask like, oh, how do you know he's the right person to date? Or like, how do you just keep a relationship for long? And they all have very varying ones. One of the key advice I have is like, just let people be people, which is frankly very difficult for me, but also not that difficult. I'm very contradicting. The thing is that I believe people have their lives, and I think that if I have a partner who restricts me, I'd be very upset, because I'm a very opinionated person and I've earned my way in life, so a grown person telling me how to live is quite unacceptable for me. So again, I don't think that I should be contributing to people's lives. But then I always feel the need to like do a lot to be loved and be accepted, and to like solve people's problem, and to be there for people, and I don't know, be everything for them, like isolate them in a weird way so they're obsessed with me. This episode is a mess. This is just my confession. I really hope not a lot of people see this one. But yeah, I'm learning how to let people be people, and to let me be myself, and to not control even myself. It's been a work in progress, and I also am learning what truly makes me happy as a person, and now I'm trying to learn what would make a relationship work for me as a person, and in my personal life. And well, we'll see how it goes. Of course I'll update you guys if I have any like information. That's what a podcast is for. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and listening to me being a train wreck of a relationship. Horrible girlfriend, apparently. And yeah, I hope you have a good night. I'll see you later.